What's going on, Narcolepsy Click? You already know what it is, your boy Narcolepsy Boy 94 back here again doing another WWE tier list for you guys. Today we're doing WWE finishers. This one has been highly requested by some people, so we're going to do finishers for you guys. Like always, make sure you guys subscribe, follow all my social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Narcolepsy Boy 94. And if you have any suggestions for any tier list you want me to do in the future, leave them in the comment section below, man. I'm open to do any tier list you guys want me to do, man. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it, shall we? As always, you already know the categories are always the same: elite, great, good, average, and terrible. So with that being said, let's get into the first finisher of the tier list. First one we got is Rey Mysterio 619. I gotta put this one in the elite category. Rey Mysterio 619 is probably one of the most recognizable finishers in wrestling history. I mean, growing up watching Rey Mysterio, who didn't attempt the 619 at least on somebody, or at least doing something with the 619 as a kid? You know, whether you were wrestling with your cousins or friends or whatever when you were a kid, everybody wanted to, swing around a post or a tree and hit somebody with a 619. Like 619 was a dope, man. And I think this is an elite finisher. It's one of the most recognizable finishers, like I said. Like 619, I think is earned the spot to be in the elite finisher category, so I'm going to put it in the elite category. Next one we got is Batista Bomb. I'll put the Batista Bomb in the great category. Batista Bomb was a dope finisher, if you ask me. I mean, it's just a simple power bomb, but the way Batista used to do it with the impact and everything and the intensity behind it, he made that power bomb look really dangerous, man. So I'll put the Batista Bomb in the great category. The elite category, bit of a stretch for me personally, but I think it was a dope finisher. It definitely fit for Batista, and it was definitely a believable finisher too, to get over and believable enough to finish somebody in the ring. So I'll put it in the great category. I think the Batista Bomb, is a great finisher. Next up, we got the Weapon of Mass Destruction, WMD, by The Big Show. Okay. Some people didn't like this finisher, but I'm going to put it in the good category. Only because The Big Show did it, and it was really believable when he did it. Like, there were a lot of times when he used his finisher where I really thought he knocked somebody out for real. I was like, he may have just slept that person for real, man. That finisher was super believable, especially coming from The Big Show, so I'll put it in the good category for me. I thought it was a solid finisher for The Big Show. Next one on the list, we got the Big Ending by Big E. It's average. And his finisher is average, if you ask me. It's nothing like spectacular in my opinion, but it's not terrible at all. But it's an average finisher. It's really hard to come up with unique finishers nowadays in wrestling because there's so many finishers that are used so much. You know what I mean? So this is a very unique finisher because I've never seen anybody else use this before as a finisher. But it's average to me at best, though. Some people may disagree. I completely understand, but for me, it's average. Next up, we got the Sharpshooter by Bret Hart. By far an elite finisher, one of the greatest submission finishers of all time, man. The Sharpshooter, first off, if anybody's ever been put in the Sharpshooter, you know it hurts. I've been put in the Sharpshooter before, and it absolutely is painful. It definitely hurts. And the way Bret Hart used to do it, man, was just beautiful. Like, he used to do that Sharpshooter to perfection, man. One of the best submission finishers of all time. Like I said, to me, it's an elite finisher. Next up, we got the Brogue Kick by Sheamus. I'll put it in the average category. I think it's an average finisher. It's definitely a good finisher for Sheamus. You know what? Now that I'm really thinking about it, I'll put it in the good category. I changed my mind. I'll put it in the good category because this is a solid finisher for Sheamus, and super believable too because he's hit that Brogue Kick pretty viciously sometimes on opponents where I'm like, yo, that looked intense. That looked dangerous, man. And those, to me, like the finishers that can come off as the most believable to me are the best finishers. And the Brogue Kick has had times where I thought, he legitimately may have knocked somebody out for real. So I'll put the Brogue Kick in a good category. Plus, that's also a pretty unique finisher too because I've never seen anybody else use that finisher besides Sheamus. So I'll put it in the good category. I think it's a solid finisher. Next up, we got the Bull Hammer by Wade Barrett, aka Bad News Barrett. Wade Barrett is doing great commentary on NXT, by the way. Shout out to Wade Barrett. His finisher, though, I'll put it in the average category. It's really just a simple elbow to the face. Now, I know some people are going to look at the Weapon of Mass Destruction and say, well, that's just a simple punch, but it's different because Big Show is a giant. He obviously has superhuman strength, right? So him using that Weapon of Mass Destruction, him punching people in the face, there were times where you would watch that and you thought he could legitimately knock out somebody. Like, you thought he was really putting people to sleep at one point because of the Big Show size. So, like, him using that was extremely believable. Wade Barrett, this finisher could be believable at times, but I don't know, it just never really hit for me personally like that. Like, it was a solid finisher, and it was something different too. I mean, it got over extremely well, when he was using that as Bad News Barrett for that gimmick. So I'll say it was an average finisher for me though. Like, it wasn't anything spectacular in my opinion, but it got over. So he was obviously doing something right with that finisher, but I'll put it in the average category. Next up, we have the lumbar check by Cedric Alexander. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the great category because that's where I think it belongs. First time I ever seen him use that was in the Cruiserweight Classic back in 2016, and when I saw him use it, I was like, ooh, like, that looked really intense, man. That looked like it hurt for real. And like I said, to me, the finishers that come off as the most believable with the most intensity and that look extremely real are the best ones to me, and that one was definitely one of them. I've never seen anybody else use it as a finisher either. There may be some other wrestlers out there in the wrestling world that have used it as a finisher, but I've never seen anybody else use it, man. So I'm going to put the lumbar check in the great category. Next up, we got the Claymore Kick by Drew McIntyre. This to me is a great finisher. I really do like this finisher a lot. One of my favorite finishers today in WWE, actually. I like this way better than the Future Shock DDT. He used to use the Future Shock DDT as a finisher back when he was the chosen one, Drew McIntyre. That finisher was aight, but that Claymore Kick, yeah, that Claymore Kick is dope, bro. That is a great finisher, if you ask me. Like, the way he uses it and the way he hits it on people, man, with that impact, whew, that Claymore Kick is deadly, if you ask me. So I'm gonna put that in the great category. All right, next up we got the Coquina Clutch by Samoa Joe. You know what? I'll put this in the great category too. This is a super believable finisher, especially coming from somebody like Samoa Joe. That Coquina Clutch, man. That finisher is another great submission finisher, if you ask me. One of my favorite submission finishers. And the fact that it's coming from Samoa Joe, somebody of his size, it comes off super believable, man, because you really feel like he's really choking somebody out and using that strength that he has in his body to really put somebody to sleep. So that Coquina Clutch, man, yeah, I'm going to put that in the great category. I think that's where it belongs. Next up, we got the Curb Stomp by Seth Rollins. Some people are going to freak out about this, I already know, but I'm going to put it in the average category. I mean, it's just like blah to me. It's just a simple finisher. I do love Seth Rollins, though. I mean, Seth Rollins is one of my favorite wrestlers in WWE today. But that finisher has always just been just really whatever to me. Like, it was nothing special to me, to be honest. Like, it's a unique finisher because I've never seen anybody else use it besides Seth Rollins, so it's good for him because he has his own unique finisher that is his signature trademark. But the finisher was just never anything like spectacular to me where I was like, oh man, like that was cool. Like, I don't know. For me, it was just average. That's really all I gotta say about it. Like, I do like Seth Rollins a lot. Like I said, Seth Rollins is one of my favorite wrestlers in WWE. So I know some people are gonna freak out about this, especially the big Seth Rollins fans probably. But I don't know, his finisher was just never like anything special to me, so I'm gonna put it in the average category. Next up, we got my boy John Cena, my favorite wrestler of all time. Some people may know this finisher as the Attitude Adjustment, but I go way back to the FU days. But to be honest, this finisher is average. It's always been average. All he's doing is picking somebody up and is tossing them over like that. This is coming from a John Cena fan, but we gotta be real John Cena fans. Like, his finisher has always just been average. It's nothing tremendous. Definitely believable coming from John Cena because he got it over, but the Attitude Adjustment, aka the FU, has never been anything like an elite or great finisher, and that's just me being honest. But I'm still part of the, the Chain Gang. I go way back to the Chain Gang days. I know he calls it the C Nation now, but the Chain Gang, that's where I come from, man. So salute John Cena, my favorite wrestler of all time, bro, one of my childhood idols. But his finisher, the Attitude Adjustment, aka the FU, it's an average finisher. Next up, we got the Goldberg Spear. This is an elite finisher. Goldberg, by far, to me, has the best spear of all time, bro. His spears look vicious, they look like they hurt, and they look brutal. His spear is the most believable, the best impact. By far, to me, Goldberg has the best spear, so I'm putting it in the elite category. Next up, we got the patented Hulk Hogan leg drop. Definitely in the terrible category, but I gotta commend Hulk Hogan for getting this finisher over. Like, still to this day, and I wasn't around in that era, so maybe I'm thinking a little bit differently, but still to this day, I don't know how he got that over. Like, he got a leg drop over back in his day when he was the top guy in the business. Like, I still don't understand how he got that over. Like, it's a leg drop, simple leg drop. Like, people do this all the time. Like, and he got that over as a finisher, and he beat a lot of people with it. Like, the fact that he got that over, I gotta commend him on that. But the finisher is it's terrible. It's just a leg drop. Like, anybody can do this. So, I mean, he got it over. Commend Hulk Hogan for getting it over, but like I said, it's just a leg drop. It's something special, so it's in the terrible category. Next, we got Dirty Deeds by Dean Ambrose. I'll put it in the average category. I never thought it was anything special, to be honest. And many people have used this finisher before. Mick Foley used this. Drew McIntyre used this. I talked about it before. But that Dirty Deeds is... It's average, man. It's not anything tremendous, if you ask me, bro. Like, John Moxley's still using it today in AEW and everything, and it's not called the Dirty Deeds anymore. But I don't know. It just never really hit for me like that. Like the DDT, I've seen people use that many times before, and I was never like that impressed by that version of the DDT. So I'll just put it in the average category for me. Alright, next up we got The Gore by Rhino, man. I gotta put this in the elite category, to be honest. Rhino, to me, has one of the top 3 best spears of all time. Not better than Goldberg's, though. I think Goldberg has the best spear of all time, like I said before, but there were many times when Rhino's hit that spear with intensity and with power, where I'm like, yo, like, he may just crack some ribs in that body that he just hit, bro. Like, Rhino, when he hits that Gore, bro, yeah. You can watch it at home, and you can be like, oh, like, I think I just felt that, like, man, when he hits that Gore, it's super believable. So I gotta put it in the elite category, man. I think Rhino's Gore is top tier. Alright, next up we got Mr. Socko by Mick Foley. I'm sorry, but I gotta put it in the terrible category. Much respect to Mick Foley for getting this over, and I do commend him for that, because he got this over. He got it over like crazy, but he's putting a sock on a hand and basically just putting his hand in somebody's mouth. Like, come on. Like I said, he got it over. He got it over, so Mick Foley was definitely doing something right with that. He got it over, but the finisher is not anything like... It's not anything great, if you ask me. I'm going to put it in the terrible category. I'm sorry, but I love Mick Foley, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and much respect to Mick Foley and everything he's done in the business. But that finisher, yeah, it's not all that, if you ask me. Next up, we got The People's Elbow by the most electrifying man in all of entertainment, The Rock. I'm sorry, but once again, I gotta put it in the terrible category. Listen, all the finishers that are in the terrible category, the leg drop, Mr. Socko, The People's Elbow, they all got over. So I commend and respect these superstars for getting these finishers over, but they're not great finishers. They're just not. Like, to me, they're not, at least. Like, The Rock, one of the greatest of all time, hands down, if you ask me. The most entertaining superstar that's ever graced a wrestling ring, in my opinion. But the People's Elbow finisher was nothing that I ever looked at as being a spectacular or tremendous finisher. And I'm just being honest. And I'm a huge Rock fan. The Rock is one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. But his finisher, the People's Elbow was just never anything great to me. So I gotta put it in the terrible category. Like, all the finishers that are in the terrible category, they all got over, but they were never great finishers to me, personally. Next, we got The Razor's Edge by Razor Ramon. This was a good finisher, man. Razor's Edge was a good finisher. I'm going to put it in the good category. Razor Ramon's gimmick, too, man. One of my favorite gimmicks from the 90s. But the finisher, I'll put it in the good category. It was a solid, good finisher. And he was the first person to use it as a finisher, if I'm correct. I'm not 100% sure on that. I could be wrong, because I wasn't around the era before this and everything, or even this era that was going on when Razor was using this finisher, but I believe he was the first person to use this as a finishing move. I don't know if I'm right about that or not, but the Razor's Edge is dope, man. I'm going to put it in the good category. Next up, we got the RKO by Randy Orton. It's definitely one of the most elite finishers of all time, man. Like, Randy Orton has perfected that finisher into his own. We all know DDP used to use a version of this called the Diamond Cutter, but the RKO has surpassed the Diamond Cutter. The RKO is just so epic, bro. Like, this is my favorite finisher of all time, by the way, and it's extremely believable, bro. Especially when Randy Orton hits it out of nowhere. Like, we've seen Randy Orton hit the RKO so many times where you're like, how did he do that, bro? Undertaker, WrestleMania 21, Jeff Hardy, 2008 Royal Rumble, Evan Bourne on an episode of Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. You're like, how did he do this? Like, Randy Orton, man, has just perfected an RKO into something great, and it's definitely an elite finisher by far, if you ask me, man. So, the RKO is just epic. It'll go down as one of the greatest finishers of all time. Next up, we got the 5-star Frog Splash by Rob Van Dam. I'm putting this in the elite category. Now, Rob Van Dam's Frog Splash is spectacular. It always comes with great impact and super believability. The real debate, though, is who had the better Frog Splash, Rob Van Dam or Eddie Guerrero. That's a debate that people have all the time, and honestly, I really don't know, man. Rob Van Dam definitely got up higher and got more leverage on his 5-star Frog Splash, but Eddie Guerrero used to do it so beautifully, man. Like, the way he used to hit that Frog Splash was just perfection. Like, I don't know, man. I've always debated that question in my mind. Like, who had the better Frog Splash, RVD or Eddie Guerrero? Like, that's a real debate to have, man. I may make a TikTok video on that. I may have to make a TikTok video on that one, man. Like, who had the better Frog Splash, RVD or Eddie Guerrero? So I may have to make a TikTok on that one. But the 5-star Frog Splash is an elite finisher, if you ask me. It's top tier. Next on the tier list, we got Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music, another elite finisher by far. This is also another finisher that's one of the most recognizable finishers in pro wrestling history, man. Sweet Chin Music, let's be honest. We've all hit the Sweet Chin Music on somebody at least once, bro. Whether you were a kid or adult, like, you've hit the Sweet Chin Music on somebody at least once before, man. Like, the Super Kick Sweet Chin Music is one of the best finishers of all time, man. And Shawn Michaels has hit that Sweet Chin Music a lot of times on a lot of people where the impact felt real and you believe that he was really out there kicking people's teeth down their throats, man. Like, the Sweet Chin Music is definitely an elite finisher, man. My favorite Sweet Chin Music of all time is definitely the one he hit on Shelton Benjamin in the episode of Raw. So that episode of Raw was on my birthday when Shawn Michaels and Shelton Benjamin had their match. And when he hit that Sweet Chin Music on Shelton Benjamin, bro, when Shelton Benjamin got on the top rope and he jumped and Shawn Michaels hit him with that Sweet Chin Music, bro, that will forever be engraved into my mind. I wish I could have recorded my reaction that time, bro. This was back in 2005, but I flipped out. I about lost my mind. I was like, oh my god, like, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, when he hit that Sweet Chin on Shelton, bro, that was something special, man. I'll never forget that, man. So, the Sweet Chin Music by far is an elite finisher. If anybody else disagrees with me, then you have to explain why. Next up on the tier list, we got the Tombstone Pile Driver. Another elite finisher, if you ask me, man. The Undertaker has perfected that into something special, if you ask me. The Tombstone Pile Driver is just something simple, but there's something special about it, and I think it's an elite finisher, man. Like I said, it's a simple finisher, but there's something that Undertaker did about this finisher that just made it so special to me, and I just gotta put it in the elite category, man. And this picture right here was at WrestleMania 26. I know you remember the last tombstone he gave Shawn Michaels, the jumping tombstone, when he jumped in the air and gave Shawn Michaels a tombstone. We've never seen that before, and that right there was how you go out, or at least it's at least how Shawn Michaels should have went out. I mean, I know he came back and everything, but that jumping tombstone will forever be engraved into my brain too, man. Like, that was something special that I'll never forget, man. So the tombstone, I gotta put it in the elite category. Next up, we got the Walls of Jericho, and I got it right here in the great category. Now let me explain why I have it in the great category. The Walls of Jericho is one of the best submission finishers of all time, but I just believe there are so many other better finishers out there than the Walls of Jericho. I think the ankle lock is a better finisher. The STFU was a better finisher. The sharpshooter was a better finisher. The crossface was another better submission finisher, if you ask me. I don't know. The Walls of Jericho is a really good finisher. One of the most believable and one of the best submission finishers ever. But I want to put it in the great category, though, man. Honestly, I don't think that finisher is on the same level as any of the finishers I put in the elite category, and that's just me being real with you guys. So I'm going to put it in the great category. Some people are going to strongly disagree with me on that. I already know. It's totally fine, but the Walls of Jericho for me is in the great category. Alright, this concludes our tier list ranking the finishers. So let's run through the finishers that I've ranked. So in the elite category, we have 619 Sharpshooter, Goldberg Spear, the Gore by Rhino, RKO, 5-star Frog Splash by Rob Van Dam, Sweet Chin Music, and the Tombstone Pile Driver. All these finishers are elite to me, man. So I think they belong where they belong. In the great category, we got the Batista Bomb, Lumbar Check, Claymore Kick, Coquina Clutch, and the Walls of Jericho. I already know I'm going to get a ton of heat on the Walls of Jericho not being put in the elite category and being put in the great category. I completely understand 1000% if you believe the Walls of Jericho is in the elite category. I'm not going to debate with you on that. I'm not going to say you're wrong. But for me, the finishers that I have ranked in the great category are where they're supposed to be to me. They were all great finishers, but they weren't up there in the elite category for me. So Batista Bomb, Lumbar Check, Claymore Kick, Coquina Clutch, and the Walls of Jericho, all great finishers. Next, we got the good category. We got the WMD, aka the Weapon of Mass Destruction by The Big Show, the Bro Kick by Sheamus, and the Razor's Edge by Razor Ramon. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this WMD. I feel like a lot of people are going to put this in the average or terrible category, but you got to think, it's coming from The Big Show, a giant. That's why it's so impactful and so believable to me, where I truly believed he was really putting people to sleep at one point, man. So I think it's a good finisher. It fits for somebody like The Big Show. So I think all these finishers were solid and they were good to me. Next, in the average category, we got the Big Ending, we got the Bull Hammer, Curb Stomp, Attitude Adjustment, aka the FU, and the Dirty Deeds. These were all just average finishers at best, man. Like, I don't see how anybody could personally rank these anywhere higher besides where they are. That's just me though. But hey, if you guys think any of these finishers in the average category should be ranked higher or some of them lower, leave it in the comment section. Let me know. But for me, these are all average finishers. Last, in the terrible category, we got the Leg Drop, Mr. Sacco, and the People's Elbow. Once again, I salute, respect, and commend all three of these guys for getting their finishers over, but they were always terrible finishers if you ask me. Like the Leg Drop, Mr. Sacco, and the People's Elbow, they were just never great finishers, man. Like they were just like average moves that were turned into a finisher, and they just got over really well. So much respect, and I commend these guys for getting them over, like I said, but these finishers were always terrible to me, so I'm going to put them in the terrible category. I think that's where they belong, to be honest. Alright, Narcolepsy Click, that concludes this tier list, man. Make sure you guys follow all my social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, NarcolepsyBoy94. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for me, and I got some big things coming up for my YouTube channel that I'm working on. More Jeopardies, more podcasts, more drafts, just a bunch of everything, man. So make sure you guys subscribe. Much love, man. Appreciate all the support from you guys. Narcolepsy Click. Y'all be safe. Narcolepsy Click for life. All day, every day. Don't forget that.